Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dumpster Diaries. I am Moses Wartooth and I am here with
Justin Allen.
And we got a good fucking show. I'm a little pissed off today though because I've been reading more about the Hawaiian fire and where our money is going. So, do you know anything about that, Justin?
I read a little bit about it. So, old Sleepy Joe is up to some shenanigans with that money, though.
Up to some bullshit.
Yeah, I read something. You could just, if I'm wrong, let me know. But I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one. But recently, like just very recently, we have sent Ukraine $200 million, additional dollars, right?
I believe that's after the fire has already started.
Yes.
So this is after the fact.
Yes.
All the while, there's over 100 Americans, well, nearly 100 Americans dead. 1,000 of them are still missing, and over 2,200 structures are totally destroyed on that island.
2,600.
2,600 now?
Yeah, it's 2,600.
They're still
now.
fucking burning.
Yeah. And you want to know what your fucking government did for them?
What are those Hawaiian people getting?
Dude, they sent $700 to each family that was affected by those fires.
Oh,
and
wow.
It equated to $1.8 million.
So American people get 1.8 and the Ukraine gets 200 million on top of all the countless millions that they've already been fucking getting since the war.
Yeah, I mean they're in the billions now. I mean, like they're straight up. I mean, it's an insane amount of money that they've been getting in Ukraine. And when you start including like all the weapons and all that shit, like,
and yet we still have so many fucking problems right here at home.
Yeah, dude.
Homelessness, hunger, poverty.
Yeah,
No one gives a fuck about us.
Yeah,
especially our own goddamn government.
I saw a video. It looked like a Snapchat video that someone had taken, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's these guys. I don't know if they were like, I don't know what they were doing. Probably trying to get the fuck out of there, honestly. But they were in a truck and they were just driving down. It looked like a 2-lane road or whatever. And left and right, houses, parks, cars, all that stuff, right? Traditional neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything was on fire and melted.
Just fucking decimated.
You've seen that movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, like, when hell.
When he goes to hell and
Yeah.
it's like LA, but it's just like everything's on fire or whatever. That's exactly what it looked like, dude.
God damn.
Yeah, and even like the guys talking in the truck were like, "Hey, we have to get out of here. Like it's getting too hot. Like they're gonna start melting our own tires and stuff, dude." Like insane, dude. But like, some fuck shit war happens halfway across the world, and god damn it, everyone's got to take a knee, right?
Oh yeah. Well, America.
Yeah.
Always has to step in and be the fucking hero.
Oh my god, dude. What's interesting about like a lot of those like small countries like that, like those Eastern Bloc countries, shit you see in the Middle East, shit like in Africa, with Niger and stuff popping off, man. It's all these like little shitty countries that just pit superpowers against each other.
Yeah.
In an effort just to squeeze money out of us. That's all that's about.
Works
dude.
every time.
Yeah, because I was reading like reports about like a lot of members of like the Ukrainian parliament or whatever.
Yeah.
Like equivalent to their Congress, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were getting caught fleeing the country, and they literally they had duffel bags full of United States dollars, greenbacks, $100 bills, banded, $10,000 bands at a time, just as much as you could carry, getting on these planes trying to get it out of the country. Where the fuck you think that money came from?
And this isn't about the Ukrainian people. I've been to the Ukraine.
Of course.
I like Ukraine as a country.
It's the government.
Yeah, nothing against their people. It is who their fucking rulers are.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of sad. Like you wish, you could trust, you know what I mean? You could just be like, yeah, dude, like you're getting invaded. You need help. Like, fuck yeah, dude. Like we can help you out. But like at the end of the day, what was it? 2013, they had a chance to join NATO and they said no.
True.
I understand it was a different president, but the thing is, like, we have literally no allegiance to them whatsoever.
No.
And so, like, why
everyone asks for a bailout, and America's the first to just start slinging truckloads of money to them, while we always leave our own people on our own soil left to fucking starve and get fucked.
Yeah, like that trip I took to fucking Houston, man. Like, literally, like, zombies walking the street, man. Like, fucked up on drugs, needles in the street, homeless everywhere, tent city, looking like a shanty town, dude. I'm telling you, man, like,
yet we're funneling cash to the Middle East and the Ukraine and wherever the fuck else just to feed their fucking bigwigs, and still their people are still suffering. They don't give a fuck about their regular people.
I mean, at the end of the day, you and I both know it's about Russia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how do we stick it to the man? How do we seize it more, stop them from seizing any more real estate?
Which I get that part, but throwing fat stacks of cash isn't the fucking answer. That doesn't solve shit.
Well, you mean like COVID? We can't tax our way out of this?
Yeah. Lockdown.
That's what everyone's solution was. It was just like, this is a money problem. This is not a bio problem. It's just like, what? Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know. You know, my thing is it's the American people you just keep fucking nonstop. You know what I mean?
Every day.
And like, dude, I go to the grocery store, man, and I can't tell you, like the small grocery store down the road from my house, I can't tell you how many times every single time I go, man, every single time I go. And it's like this, it breaks my fucking heart to see this shit happening. There's always somebody complaining about how much groceries are. Not out of like, oh shit, this is expensive now, fuck this, but I'm gonna buy it anyway. But like more of like,
can't afford that shit.
I can't afford this. And that's happening a lot. And I know a girl that works at my local grocery store, and she was like, you would be really surprised. And I was like, but fucking Ukraine, man, they won a bunch of fucking pallets of fucking money, all this other fucking bull. And it's not just the Ukraine.
No, not at all.
Like, no,
same
like,
shit happened to Afghanistan during the Obama administration.
Iraq, Iran. Yeah, I think we talked about it once before or whatever.
It's the same shit, different country every time.
I think a better analogy might be same shit, different toilet.
True.
But it's always about like, you know, Russia, like some other fucking superpower. But, you know, one thing I was listening to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he was talking about it, basically Russian aggression, right? Mm-hmm. And now we're going to gloss over a lot of history on how like NATO's borders basically came right up on Russia's ass, like where they are today, right?
Yeah.
But he essentially stated, you know, he was talking about, you know, history during his was it a podcast, or it might have been during his, no, it was during the congressional hearing that he was a part of. I think it was on censorship, actually, that one that he was on. He said that when NATO was actually originally created, the promise to the Russian people essentially was that NATO would not move one single inch towards their border. And since then, it has moved over 1,000 miles and included an additional 14 countries. So if you start, I'm not siding with Putin by any fucking means.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But if you fucking look at it from his fucking perspective.
Do you remember what year or around what time period that was when that was said? It had to be a pretty good bit ago.
Oh, God, dude.
But
dude, you're putting me on the spot with that one. If you want to talk a little bit, I'll Google some shit or whatever.
We need to know. We're curious about that shit. But yeah, I mean, the more, which it's understandable. But then once we made that agreement, you know, those other countries are like, oh, we want help too. And then it goes back to the other part of how many of those countries that once they were accepted into NATO, they never paid a fucking dime of their dues, and we were still toting the fucking bill on all of them as well.
So I did just Google it.
Mm-hmm.
So NATO was actually created it was on April 4th, 1949.
1949.
Yes.
Okay. So a lot of fucking shit has happened since then.
Yeah.
So obviously things change.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off on what you were saying earlier, but like, you know, like, and the thing is, at the end of the day, like you were talking about, dude, like a lot of these countries, you know, like they haven't paid or they continue not to pay or they're short or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, dude, it's the American greenback that's financing all that bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, I'm just tired of like fucking fighting other people's wars, dude.
For sure, man. Like, I'm not opposed to helping people out, but we need to put our own people first.
Yes. 100
America first.
%.
Like every other country puts their country first. No one else doles out. Like no one else is gonna fucking help us. If roles were reversed, they're gonna help themselves first. And then if they have any extra shit, they're like, we might fucking give you guys a little something.
Although I did read an interesting fact. Now this wasn't helping by any means, but after 9/11, did you know that the first world leader to call fucking George Bush and like basically give his condolences was Putin? Was Vladimir Putin.
Damn, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
The old bastard had a little bit of compassion.
I think it's the whole...
Or was it a joke?
I think it's...
Was he like, oh, sucks for you. Better you than me.
Well, they've had their issues with that shit, but they just snatch motherfuckers up on the street. Like, bam!
True.
So, yeah, dude, I think it was more of the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, that entire presidency, we really didn't have any issues with Russia.
No.
Because we're like, like that's, I mean, Russia and the United States has a unique history of like, yeah, we like kind of pit against each other and all this other shit, but we don't ever actually like really fire at each other.
No, it's kind of like it could be comparable to China, as in we mutually hate each other, but we depend on each other for shit.
Yeah.
Like Russia, not so much, but I guess it could be along the same tune as that.
Yeah. But whenever real shit breaks out, like on a global platform, historically, like in the last century, it's always like Russia and the United States end up teaming up together.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Do you think that would happen now, though?
Ooh,
I don't see it. Russia and China are gonna fucking...
I would say before Ukraine, yes. After Ukraine,
okay.
no.
Yeah, like you think the Ukraine has really fucked our relationship beyond repair at this point?
Yes.
Okay. I could see that.
You got to put yourself in Putin's shoes.
Well, true.
You're encroaching on what he basically sees as like, hey, man, like, this is my territory.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or at least it was at some fucking point. Mm-hmm. It's, yeah, okay, like, you know, there's historically, you know, I mean, there's a lot of history there and stuff, you know, but now, you know, it's technically a sovereign nation like Ukraine, right?
Which it always, even when while it was, it still had a heavy Russian presence.
Yeah. I mean, a large portion of Ukrainians actually identify as Russian.
Yeah.
You know, that's what a lot of people don't fucking realize. Mm-hmm. And like most of them speak Russian and stuff. And so like when the shit goes down, man, like, God, dude, it never fucking fails in this country, dude. I don't want to say it's liberals because, you know, I'm a libertarian and I got some liberal friends that I think are really fucking cool and they're like understanding. But anytime some shit goes down in this goddamn country or the world, it never fails. It's always some Facebook filter comes out. It was with the COVID vaccines, like get vaxxed or whatever. And then like when the Ukraine shit started, everyone started, you know, that stupid ass, that gay ass filter where it was just like the Ukrainian flag, like I stand with Ukraine,
yeah.
all that stupid shit. And it's people who know nothing about it, never even taken a fucking history class about this shit, never been in the military, never even worked around any of these governments, never even traveled there for leisure travel.
And the people that were just straight up, what really irritated me is like average citizens, like people like you and me, were sending Ukraine people money. Mm-hmm. Which again is totally fine, but I just feel like you should take care of your own goddamn people. Like I guarantee you, there's someone in every person's hometown that can use that fucking help more than they could.
100%.
Like that's what I don't agree with. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with helping people out, but help out your own first.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, for the listeners, you know, Moses and I, like, you know, we may not seem like it, but we've actually done like quite a bit of like charity work, like in our local community and stuff, man. Yeah. So like, if you just get out there and you start looking, man, you start realizing like, dude, fuck everyone else. Like we need to like take care of
our own shit to take care of.
And that's what I tell people, like, you know, especially with like politics and stuff like that, you know, everyone focuses on like the federal government. Of course it's important, but that should be like the least important aspect of the government.
Yeah, it should go in order of what affects you personally and branches out from that.
Local should be most important, followed by your state, then your federal government.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the powers that be intentionally keep us focused on the feds.
True. Like because why the average person has no idea what's going on in their own city.
Yeah, like if you and I want to bitch about Nancy Pelosi, why are we bitching about Nancy Pelosi? Like she's from California. Yeah, I understand she's in Congress, like it's a vote and all this other shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I don't give a fuck what happens in California.
Yeah, we should be worried about the condition of our goddamn roads, which are totally shitty, by the way. Yeah. But like basic level stuff. If everyone cared about their own little bubble and branched that out and everyone did the same thing, our goddamn situation as a American people would be a lot better.
Yeah.
But instead we focus on shit that we have no capability to even control or have a word in, and we're just pissing in the wind.
Or pissing against the wind?
Yeah. Piss in our face.
Hit you in the face. Yeah, man. You know, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just so ass backwards. I just feel, I don't know how to do this. I don't know what the right way to do it is. But like those douchebags, for lack of better words, on Capitol Hill and in the White House, right? They need to have a stark reminder that they work for us.
Yeah.
It is not your fucking money you're spending. That is our money. You know what I mean?
That isn't, top that off. Add that to the fucking list of shit that pisses me off.
Yeah.
When you think about it, that is our goddamn money that's going to those other countries.
Yeah.
It's not theirs. They're busy fucking investing that shit in stocks and making more millions off of us.
Oh, you mean having super secret briefings like when COVID went down, and then like they, as soon as they walk out, they call their broker and they're like, "Hey, sell everything."
Yeah.
When it was like 3 Congress, well, I think one of them was a woman, but 3 members of Congress, you know, they got caught doing that shit. And then that just got swept under the rug.
Zero repercussions are going to come from that.
I actually read an interesting fact, dude. I was reading, or I think I might have listened to it on the Joe Rogan Experience, actually. Nancy Pelosi, statistically, is a better stock trader than George Soros and Warren Buffett. Like on her rate of return and shit. So, dude, you know that fucking lizard is sitting there getting these like high-end briefings.
100%, yeah.
And then she's like going and like whispering into her husband's like ear while he's like getting jerked off by dudes trying to hit him with a hammer, you know?
Drinking and driving too. Martha's Vineyard shit.
The drinking and driving was straightforward, but like, did they ever get to that whole like, what the hell was happening with that dude breaking into his place with that hammer?
Oh no!
You remember that?
I think it was like some undercover gay shit. I think
that was a reference I was trying to make. You know, like it was like his gardener or something. He's like, hey, like come on in.
Oh, Rico, the buff gardener, been hammering something around there.
You like Mai Tais? He's like,
yeah,
shaking it up. I don't even know if you shake a Mai Tai. I don't know. I fucking never had one.
Help me rub some oil on my body in front of the pool.
But I don't know. You know, like at the end of the day, man, the powers that be, like it follows all the money. You know, I mean, follow the money. That's where it's at. Like, fuck what people say, man. Follow the money. It's all about money. I mean, literally,
absolutely,
human behavior, everything is based around incentive. And the number one incentive in a capitalist society is going to be money.
And money equals power.
Sure, so. Absolutely. I mean, I've had a really good friend of mine who's done some pretty crazy shit for money. Did I ever tell you about my buddy who was a gigolo for a while?
Oh, no.
So to kind of like get off our rant about like fuck world governments,
lighten up the conversation a little bit.
Yeah. My friend, my good friend. You'll know who I'm talking about when I say his name, James.
Oh yeah.
He was a gigolo for a while, like legit. And
like what kind of gigolo? Like there's different tiers of it. Was he like?
I didn't know there was tiers. You explain the tiers, and then I'll tell you where he fits.
Okay, tier 1 is like back alley BJs, red light shit. Then the tier 2 is like you're getting taken out. You're doing like maybe some weird shit, but it's behind closed doors. It's very professional. Maybe online you like get called in to do a service, and then the high class stuff you're like dating. You're basically like a sugar baby. You're getting fucking cash. Like maybe some older women are fucking taking you out and paying for shit. It's probably pretty cool, probably fun. Maybe not even sex all the time. Just like having a good time.
You know an alarming amount about this,
man. I'd be lying if I say I never looked into it.
So he was definitely tier 3.
Okay, so he was the high class.
Yes,
that's where you want to be.
So he kind of like he went through a nasty divorce, and she took, the house.
Everything.
She took everything, right? And then the money that he had left was essentially like tied up in like attorney fees.
Fuck.
And so, I mean, that's what a lot of people don't realize, man. Divorce ain't 50-50, man. It's 2/3.
No,
it's 2/3.
If you're lucky.
As a dude, it's 2/3, man, because the lawyers got to get their cut, man. So, like, that's what I tell you.
And that's if there ain't kids involved.
Yeah, God, kids. And he had 2 kids, man. That was a fucked up shit. And he was in his late 20s and like late, like 29, 30, right? Let's say 30. And he was just like hurting for money. He was kind of lost and he was confused. And I was like worried. I was like worried about the guy, right? Like I was like, holy shit, dude. Like what the hell, man? Like you're gonna be okay. Like you're not gonna hurt yourself or like start shooting.
You're gonna get through this, right?
Yeah, start shooting smack in the alleyway or some shit, And but he was cool. He was working through it and everything, and then he started slowly building himself back. I mean, typical divorcee, right?
Oh yeah, hit rock bottom, and then you gotta fucking start pulling it back up.
Drink for about 3 months, and then come up out of that shit. But so he decided, he was gonna like reinvent himself. He was like, I'm tired of hanging out in the same like shitty, bars, pubs, whatever you want to call them. Hanging around with like shitty people.
Hell
like,
yeah.
all this
boring old repetitive cycle.
Yeah. And so he got like gym membership. He got a country club membership. I mean, he like did a whole like complete 180, right? I mean, he was still like drinking a little bit, but it was very casual,
like social type shit.
Yeah,
not depressing benders.
So he went from having like a beer gut to like having like some abs and shit. Yeah. And like he was in good shape, man. And like he was just running a lot and stuff. And so it didn't happen at the gym, even though he said he actually had a lot of social contacts from the gym, like in the community and stuff. Like he started getting to know like a couple like local loan officers and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So whenever it came time to start getting other housing, like people were willing to work
help
with
him out.
Yeah. And
Right
like
on.
dude, he was like, man, he's like, I'm telling you, he was like, do things like go to the gym, go to the country, like any social events you can find, like anything that gets you around other people like that.
Yeah.
That's in a positive manner. He was like, find it, dude. He said, you never know. Like,
That is true. My grandma worked at a gym for years, and
I
she got to
remember,
know all the local lawyers, like the DAs, like all the like firefighters, policemen, like because typically, as a rule, like relatively affluent middle-aged people will go to the gym.
Yes.
So
I mean, what the hell else are they gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, that's part, like, your appearance matters and that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
And you probably want to like increase your longevity because
very
life's
true.
going
You actually
so well.
have something to live for. So
not like some dude like sitting in a single wide like that's run down like fucking holes,
hitting the jack to the head every night.
just playing scratch outs every night,
beating his meat, or
smoking inside the house still.
Yeah, because who gives a fuck anymore?
Yeah, it's like fucking cat piss and shit everywhere and stuff, right?
So he was meeting pretty cool people at the gym.
Yes. So he's meeting cool people at the gym, and then he was doing the same thing at the country club, right? And then he gets into golfing and stuff. And so with the whole going to the country club thing, and I mean, the guy, like, he changed his style, like even how he dressed and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of had to, like, kind of
true.
fit in, right?
Yeah.
A lot of cardigans. That's all I'm gonna say. But, sweaters.
A lot of collared shirts with small emblems on the chest.
Yeah. And so he is just, drinking at this bar casually. And he said this woman, like, is sitting up there too, like, 4 or 5 seats down. And it's just her and him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he starts talking to her. And he said she was older, like a cougar.
Yeah.
But
attractive, older
attractive,
woman.
yes. Mm-hmm. Like in shape, divorcee, probably got half her husband's shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so they got to talking, and he was just having a good time, and he was completely oblivious. So when I tell this story, like, he never went into it trying to be
he just kind of like fell into the position.
He fell into it.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, I never thought in a million years this would be a thing, right? And I was like, okay, like, he's telling this, right? Super rich, affluent widows and divorcees, like, we're trying to pay you money, right? For a few moments of your time. But because when he was like telling me, because he told me the story, like, you became a gigolo or whatever, and I was like, first thing I thought, I was like, oh fuck, he's giving hand jobs behind Home Depot.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Level 1.
Like, level 1, dude. So he jumped right into the high tier, man. So I got to give him props for that, for sure.
It's the way to do it.
But so this lady comes over and is like talking to him, and they're having a great time, and they talk for like hour and a half or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting ready to leave. He's like, oh, well, calling it a night, whatever. Like, fucking afternoon for those guys. I guess,
Probably like 5 p.m.
5 o'clock, time to go. And she was like, so how much would it take? I think, how did he word it? It was something along the lines of, she was like, what's your rate?
Oh, okay. So she just assumed that he was already in the profession.
Yes.
Okay.
So decent looking dude sitting by himself at the bar.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, like on like a Wednesday. You know what I mean?
All
yeah.
right. So
And
I can sense a country club in our future.
well, they keep sending fucking money to Ukraine. We might be having to do this shit with all this inflation, dude.
Oh man.
Start hoarding it out. I'll tell you what. Actually, I'll be the slut. You be the pimp.
Okay.
It's like, we'll do this.
I
right?
guarantee, if them old women look at me, they're like, oh shit. They don't want me to touch them, but they're going to be afraid of me. So I can do that.
It's like that
You
episode.
definitely play the part.
It's like the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Dennis becomes like a prostitute, and then like Frank is like the pimp or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, baby, they're not going to hurt you. He's like, no butt stuff. He's like, no butt stuff. And then like 2 hours later, he's taking it in the ass.
Yeah. The guy has him dancing in front of that old woman. He's like, make it sexy. And then he just starts reading a newspaper. He plays like an old, like,
he's like an extra 100 to get him to like it.
Oh, man. Where did it leave off? Oh, yeah. So she was like, basically like, what's your rate?
Mm-hmm.
And he said it took him a second to like process what was happening. And he was like, well, and he was very honest with this lady. He was like, I've never like done this before. And she was like, oh, okay. He was like, so what do you like usually? She's like, well, usually for like an entire night, it's about $300. And he was like, dollars? And, So like, and this wasn't like a super rich like area or anything like that, right? She was like, but I have seen rates go up to like 500 and stuff like that for a night. And which is just like, that's what they get paid, but like the patron, she would have to cover like all the alcohol and the food,
The expenses.
The expenses, yeah, exactly.
So that like $300 to $500 is take home.
Take home.
Okay.
Straight up. Not a bad night's work. I mean, especially if you're talking about you only being gone for like 3 or 4 hours.
Plus, like, okay, I know you're gonna get into this, but I'm curious of like what this night of entertainment entails.
Yeah, it's not exactly what you would think, you know, which was really surprising to me. So he gets it set up or whatever, and you know, they select a date or whatnot, and so he meets her, and they go out to dinner, and they go back to her place. They do their thing. He said it was like pretty basic vanilla,
Just
like
vanilla sex.
Yeah, said it wasn't anything crazy, and because I'm thinking like crazy shit, you know what I mean? I'm
like tied up, like, shit going in people's assholes,
shit you can only find on the internet, right?
Like safe words.
Yeah, right. And he said he had a few run-ins. Because he kept doing this for a while. He said he had a few run-ins where it was like that, but he said they were extremely rare. He said most of it was women who had just been out of the dating game and they just wanted to be around a man.
They were lonely.
Yeah.
And just wanted some company.
Yeah. And he said a lot of times it didn't even involve sex.
Mm-hmm.
He said
they just wanted someone to like go to an event with them or like go out, take them out to dinner and just have a couple
drinks, like laugh with them. Like, and that was like kind of sad to like hear too. Yeah. I was like, oh fuck. It sounded so much cooler until you said that.
Like, now it's kind of fucking depressing, man. Like, jeez.
Yeah, he said it was good. He said, you know, like, you know, he got to know a lot of those women. He said a lot of them were really great. He said there was a couple fucking weirdos out there.
Were they like, so I guess they're like repeat customer type shit?
Yes.
Like, would he build, like, so he would build up a clientele and be like Tuesdays or Cindy, Wednesdays or Rebecca type shit? Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, and he said he started doing price breaks for him and stuff like that. Like, he was like, hey, like, you're a regular. Like, we can cut this in half or whatever. Because he was just making money hand over fist, dude. But like, what happened is like, so he got with the first girl, right? And then she told a couple of her girlfriends. And then they were like, introduced me to James. And then it became a fucking thing. And then it created this whole spider web.
So he had a network.
He had a network like very, very quickly. So any young man out there listening looking for a job,
go to the gym and get yourself a country club membership. It is a promising career field.
Oh, God. But, you know, like, money makes people do weird things, you know?
And people with money have the ability to do weird things, too.
Yeah, like we always talk about, like, dude. Super rich, affluent people
just
are, like,
depraved, disgusting
psychos.
shit. Yeah, dude.
You know, I saw a funny meme.
Did he have... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Did he ever tell you about Did he ever tell you about the weirdos? Like, what went on during that? Like, any specific examples that you can remember?
I'm trying to remember. He once...
Like, any, like, fetish type shit?
Yeah, he once had a lady that had, like, a food fetish.
Okay.
But she was, like... He said she was basically, like, anorexic.
But she wanted him to eat? Or...
Off of her, yes.
Oh, okay.
And then like, so like she would like put food like on like mayonnaise or like honey like on different parts of her body and be like, lick this off.
Fucking
and like
mayonnaise, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Do like some goddamn crab rangoon out of her pussy or something.
Yeah. And then like he said the weirdest thing was like she would eat like a slice of pie, right, and like chew it to get the sensation of eating it, and then spit it in his mouth and watch him swallow it.
Oh man.
Yeah.
My rate's gonna be over 500 for that shit.
I asked him how much that was. He said he charged $1,000.
Hell yeah.
By the hour.
$1,000
by the hour.
How long did she go?
I don't know.
What if she had like a whole goddamn pallet of Sara Lee and where she was like, we're gonna fucking run through these motherfuckers. It takes me 1 hour per pie. We're going on a marathon. I'll reach you for 48 hours straight.
Your ass is mine, boy.
Be like $48,000. I'll be like, $48,000. I'm gonna be eating some used up pies, dude. I don't care.
Some weird shit out there, man. Some weird shit. I mean, you should have seen my reaction when he was telling me the story. My jaw was like basically on the floor. I was like, "What the fuck did I just hear?"
What made him get out of it? Did he find someone to settle down with? Did he get bored of it? I mean, I wouldn't think he'd get bored of that. There had to be some underlying reason, I would think. Did something terrible happen and he got scared?
No, I think he got tired.
He got tired of making that money?
We never really like went into it. Yeah. I think he got tired of like the emptiness and loneliness he was feeling on his side because he didn't have a relationship with during any of this shit. So eventually at some fucking point, like, he's still a young guy, like, he needs to have, like, someone he lives with, like a companion. Man, you know what I mean?
I would have been doing that up until I moved in with some other chick, dude.
Like up until the day,
yeah,
like this shit stops now. Like, we're good. We're good.
Then just be like, hey, baby, we got to move, and I'm changing my phone number.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't go into the details.
Yeah.
I used to work for the cartel.
Yeah, be like, we are never going to the country club, and we can't go to the Red Lobster.
Yeah. You can never tell anyone.
Yeah. Like, actually, from now on, my name is Frank.
They will come and kill you.
Yeah.
Me and this entire family. If you tell anyone. Red Lobster? Yes, Red Lobster. All right. How the fuck else do you think they afford those biscuits?
Yeah.
Things are good.
The cheddar biscuits, those are drug.
Damn, those things might as well be a drug. So
blood biscuits. Dude, I love cheddar biscuits.
So good, dude. So good, man.
They sell the cheddar biscuit mix.
Mm-hmm.
They don't fucking hold a flame to the real cheddar biscuit, though.
Can't even hold a candle to that
No,
shit.
dude, that's how they get you, though. They say if you want that real cheddar biscuit, you got to come in.
Yeah, speaking of Red Lobster and stuff, man, like, how the fuck is the Red Lobster in our town open?
It's a goddamn miracle that it is. I'm surprised, man.
For the listeners, like, Moses and I, we live in a town that has no industry. Like, there's literally
no industry, but about, 50 or 60 fucking restaurants?
Yeah, like chain restaurants.
Yeah.
So it's literally a town built on chain restaurants. And then we have 2 super, super shitty bars.
Oh, yeah.
Like, super shitty bars. You can still smoke in them, if that tells you anything, right? Like, it's just like, oh, like, here we go, right? Like,
yeah.
People like oxygen tanks sitting at the bar, like, my dad was here and I'm here and I'm going to be here till I die. Like, yeah,
I'm going to die on this bar just like my dad.
And so, but yeah, man, like, so every time I drive past that fucking Red Lobster, dude, like, it's always empty. Like, even
it's
like a Saturday, a Saturday night, dude, it's just empty as fuck.
Well, their food isn't very good. Like,
it's overpriced as fuck.
Well,
dude.
that too. I mean, like, I've eaten good Red Lobsters, but that's just not a good Red Lobster.
Mm-mm.
So,
yeah, like
plus we have superior seafood places to that in this town now. So
true. But I don't know, man. Like, yeah, me and my girl, we went on a date, dude, and I think I had like one mixed drink, and I don't even think she even had any alcohol, and we ordered food, and they were like, all right, your tab's $96.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
And I was like, no wonder why nobody comes here.
I'll be like, give me a trash bag full of fucking cheddar biscuits and we'll call it good. This is goddamn highway robbery.
These are bottomless cheddar biscuits.
Dude, fuck bottomless
for
shrimp.
$96.
Bottomless cheddar biscuits on
fucking cheddar in my biscuits.
Dude, I'm filling my fucking trunk with them things. I'm gonna bring 2 purses and be like, don't assume my gender.
I wanted to ask
the biscuits.
Fucking waitress and be like, God, could you spit on it first? Like, before you put it in? Like, Jesus Christ. Like, hand her my credit card, like, can you spit on it first before you put it in there, you know? But, and then, like, you feel bad because, like, in America, like, tipping is still, like, a fucking thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they pay their goddamn wait staff pennies.
I don't understand how the fuck that is legal, man.
It's another scam.
How the fuck can you legally pay someone $2.13 an hour? I don't give a shit if they get tipped or not. That's an agreement between, like, private party. Like, that has nothing to do with the business.
No, it is. It's some side thing. Like, we'll need to do some research on that, but there's a whole story to that. We should go in at some point.
It's total horseshit, man.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it really is. Like, you should get paid a livable wage, in my opinion.
For sure.
Whatever that is for the region you live in, right? I'm not saying it's universal across this country, right?
No.
I'm not saying the federal government needs to do that shit.
But $2.13 ain't shit.
$2.13.
And that's before taxes.
Yeah.
So.
But I just don't understand it, man. Like, they just fuck those people harder than shit. And so, like, when I get like a $96 like fucking tab,
you have to tip.
Yeah. Like, and then, like, I don't know if
because then you're the asshole. The restaurant placed the blame on you.
Yeah. And I fucking hate that shit. Because I have been to some restaurants in America where they were like, do not tip our staff. Like, they get like an appropriate salary, like, working, which is cool.
But that's few and far between.
Yes.
For sure.
And that's one thing I liked about living in Europe and stuff, man. Like, they were like, oh, yeah.
They made good money.
We don't tip here. Like, this is my career.
Yeah. And they were they were happy with it.
Yeah.
Like, they got paid a decent wage. Like,
yeah. And then you always hear like the same like shit of like, oh, well, if we had to pay more, then we're just going to charge more. Like,
they're already making fucking cash hand over fist on that shit.
Yeah, like some of those.
I know a goddamn really cheddar biscuit costs 17 cents to make, if that. So don't be charging me $3.50 for the motherfucker. And then expect me to tip the waitress $20 for a 10%.
It's like, or maybe you don't need to pay your fucking general manager 6 figures a fucking year to run a Red Lobster that has maybe 6 people in it on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
That might be a start.
Yeah.
Hey, fuck it. What the fuck do I know, right? I only worked in the restaurant industry for a few years. But money make people do weird shit, man. And people get weird around money, man. And I think that brings in like a good topic to bring in on this podcast for this episode, man. The story of Ibadd, part 2.
Volume 2. Guys, if you missed the first epic tale of Ibadd, I suggest you go back and listen to it.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember what episode it was?
Not off the top of my head, but in the title it says Story of Ibadd.
True.
So Ibadd, I have to keep his first name out of it for legal reasons. Yeah. But he was a guy who worked for me when I was in the military. And he had a very rough ride, to say the least.
All self-inflicted.
100% self-inflicted. And I've never seen a guy just get in so much trouble in my entire life and still find a way to get out of it.
He was a lucky motherfucker.
The luckiest son of a bitch. But after we told the story, man, I was driving home when we got done with the podcast, and I was like, God damn it, I left out a couple of more like great stories on this shit, man. And I think I actually told you about a couple of them before we even got started or whatever. So there was there was the Halloween costume. There was the finance stuff. Wasn't there like a third one? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think there was.
If you remember it.
Go into one, we'll continue on to it.
All right. So please, because it is a very interesting story, go back and listen to that episode. It is about a 30-minute rant, and it's worth it. Every second.
It just keeps getting crazier and crazier, but yet the entire fucking thing is true. So
all right. So give a little backstory or whatever. Remember I had that job working at like the largest nightclub in my town in Louisiana, right?
Yep.
Okay. So population about 400,000 people, to put that in perspective. So every Halloween, like any other place you'd find, in the nightlife, what do we have?
Costume contest,
right? So all these people start showing up, right? And my job is primarily I work the door checking IDs. Secondary, like I walk floors, occasionally pick up glasses and stuff, but mostly just to call stuff in and like crowd control kind of thing, right?
Make sure things are running smooth.
Yeah. So it was a pretty easy fucking job. I got paid $15 an hour to do that shit. And I never broke a sweat.
Hell yeah.
Ever. So like it was great. It was actually not that bad of a job. So if anybody's looking for a job on the weekends, I would say checking IDs ain't a bad gig, especially in this the lower end places. They typically pay cash at the end of the night, and it's off the books. FY. Well, anyway, so I remember I was telling like previous episodes or whatever. Ibadd, which was his last name, which is spelt Ibadd with 2 A's. And every time he'd get in trouble, like I'd ask him, I'd be like, "Who bad?" And then he'd just be like, "I bad." And that was just a running joke. And I mean, I burnt that shit to the filter, dog. I use that shit to
he earned that shit. He was always getting in trouble.
I know, man. And so he was having, this fits in once again. Get folks, if you go back and you watch, previous episodes, Story of Ibadd, you'll see like where this kind of starts to fit in. But he was having serious financial trouble. This is how I got onto it, because we were talking about like gigolos and the money and all that stuff, right? Yeah. But man, he was having some serious financial problems or whatever. And so the club that I worked at, they were going to have a costume contest, and the winner got, I think it was either $500 or $1,000. Like it was a decent chunk of change.
That would have been 1/4 of his insurance.
Yes. Now this particular town like has a regular Comic-Con that comes through and stuff. So all I'm gonna say is, there's a lot of people
have costumes.
yeah. You ain't walking into some bullshit. You know what I mean? You better bring your
this
game.
This ain't no Walmart fucking costume contest.
So, sorry, I had to take a sip of water. But so anyway, and he's talking to me at work, and he's having all these financial problems, right? So this is after he's wrecked his car. This is after he doesn't have insurance on a. Well, he canceled his insurance on a car that he intentionally wrecked.
His initial round of stupid shit.
Yes. He has lost rank, so he's like having serious financial problems, and he's just blowing money out the ass on shit he doesn't need with money he doesn't have, right? We might as well finish that quote to impress people we don't even like. Yeah. Like some Fight Club shit. I think it's like a third time we reference it on this show, dude. I need to watch that shit, man. But anyway, so
dude, Edward Norton.
Wasn't he the guy who played the radio in the movie Radio? If you haven't seen that short, that's a good one to check out. That's on all our social media, right? That's on Instagram, YouTube.
Oh yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
all that, yeah.
Spotify. Check it out.
That one's kind of like blowing up though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it got like, I think on YouTube alone, like in the first 24 hours, it got like 3,000 views or something.
People love it.
Yeah. I was surprised. I was like, what the fuck? But like, it's funny how people get like super pissed because like our show, yeah, we do news and we talk about personal experiences, but like when we start ranting about stuff, like most of the time it's just satire.
Yeah, some of it is based in and around satire,
and you need
spewing in and around our mouths.
I guess you need half a fucking brain to realize that it's fucking satire.
Maybe so.
Like maybe Martin Luther King Jr.'s grandfather did not vote against slavery.
Maybe he did. Check it out.
All right, anyway, we gotta get back to the monster. We'll get sidetracked. So anyway, so he's talking to me, and so everyone I work with, they know that I work at this nightclub, right, and all sorts of stuff, right? So it's common knowledge. And he's telling me about how he's gonna win this contest. And I was like, well, what's your costume? And he was like, I can't tell you. He's like, but when you see it, like, you'll know. Like, he's like, I'm going to fucking win. Now, remember, the guy had an 8-pack, was super jacked.
He was ripped.
Like, yeah, he was a, like, spec ops, like, dropout, right? Like, because he was too, I mean, it was the attitude, right? But he was ripped. I mean, like,
he had the body, but not the mindset.
There you go. Yeah. And so he's like piping it up and he's telling everyone, he's like, I'm going to win. And he's like telling everyone, I worked with like 60, 70 dudes in this shop. So everyone's like, what the fuck is this guy going to do? And he wouldn't tell any of us. And we were getting kind of fucking worried, man. We were like, what the fuck? Because he'd been in so much goddamn trouble. But, so anyway, Halloween like night rolls around, and I can't remember what year, but like that year, it specifically fell like it was like perfect. It fell like on a Friday or a Saturday night.
Oh, so everyone was there.
I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder. I think we actually broke fire code, letting so many people in and shit. Oh, it was insane. I'd never seen that many people like packed in that place or whatever. And it's a 2-story nightclub.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So the center, think of like Shakespeare's Globe.
Gotcha.
Right?
So
basically,
big stage with fucking tons of audience eyes on you.
Yeah. So basically it had something like that going on. And so what they did is, they had this costume contest. All these fucking people show up. I got like literally a line of like 100 plus people trying to fucking get in. And they're all dressed up in costumes, which makes checking IDs like a fucking pain in the ass.
Oh, dude,
right?
I didn't even think about that shit.
Oh, yeah, dude. And it's like you catch it. We caught so many kids trying to get in because they would be like, I'm the Joker. And it's just like,
be like, no, you're 14, bitch. Get out of here.
Like, you're definitely not 6'1".
Yeah.
And it's like some 4'10".
11, you 25-year-old organ donor from Hawaii.
Muhammad's the most common name in the world. You uncultured fuck. So anyway, man, we get this guy, and so I'm checking all these IDs and stuff like that. So the contest starts, right? And essentially everyone gathers around. Just imagine like the globe and shit. Everyone just focused on this center stage that was a dance floor. Mm-hmm. It wasn't actually a stage. And so diagonally from one corner to another. So starting in one corner, they would have a line of people who were going to be contestants. Okay. And they had to walk from one corner. They could do whatever movements, whatever they wanted to do. Be in character, yeah. There was one guy who was like dressed like Predator, right? Like, I mean, it was Comic-Con. Like, I mean, it was like
full on legit.
Yeah, like
shit.
he could have acted.
Had the goddamn laser and shit.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
And he like had sounds and shit and stuff, and he was like moving around. Like, so it was pretty cool. Like, some of the people really put a lot of time and effort into it. And so they had to walk across, right? And most people were very respectful. Like, they were just like cheering. Like, even if it wasn't good, it was like light claps.
Yeah, yeah.
But like,
it was a nice crowd.
When it was good, it was like, yeah, like, all right, yeah, everyone's like really happy. So anyway, this starts or whatever, and I'm still actually checking IDs at this time. Oh, sorry, nope. I stopped checking IDs when the contest starts. Okay.
I'm sure the club was already full anyway.
I'm going to back up a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. So I got this huge line or whatever. Contest hasn't started just yet. And then I'm surrounded by people because there's people trying to cut line. I mean, I literally, it's insane. I got like 6 people around me, like, and they're all trying to talk to me because I'm the one person that stops them from getting in, right? And then I just see I feel something grab me on the arm, right? And then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you don't touch fucking people like who work in those industries, right? Like, I was just like, what the fuck? And I turn and I look up and he's like, Sergeant Allen. And it's Ibadd. But he's dressed like an Egyptian pharaoh. Okay? Like the makeup, eye accents, like and all, like we talked about making jokes about and shit. Yeah. The whole 9 yards, right? And for those of you who haven't seen or listened to the other episode, to give a little insight into the character, Ibadd is of Pakistani descent. Like his entire family's from Pakistan, but he's a first generation American or whatever. So he kind of has
So he looks the part.
The olive complexion and stuff. So he really looked the part. But the problem is his costume that he created was centered around his physique. So nothing covered the chest. Nothing covered the abs. And he had like a staff and it had like a serpent's head on top, but the serpent's head was like literally made out of aluminum foil that was like sprayed with like gold spray paint because he was fucking broke as shit, right?
Sure, yeah. He had to work with what he had.
He made his own costume and shit. And it just, I mean, I didn't think it looked bad, but you could tell that was a guy trying to show off his physique, right? Yeah. It was like everything. Even like he had like a skirt on, but it was like, imagine, you know those girls who play like tennis?
Oh yeah, like mini skirt. Like he was showing the quads.
Yeah, he was showing the quads, man. He had like sandals on and shit, so you can see his calves and stuff. And it was like tied up sandals, like up to the knee too, you know. So it was like really like enunciating, right? Like his physique or whatever. And he's like, starting out. And he's like trying to reach out to me like through these people, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, what do you think about my costume? And I was like I'm looking around, I'm so fucking busy right now.
Yeah, you're like
and the general manager was like, hey man, like what's your problem? Like, because the general manager didn't know him.
Yeah, he didn't know that you knew him either.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's the guy from work. He was like, well, hey, like, you need to tell him to get back to the end of life. He was like, get out. Like, he just told me to get out of life.
Out of here.
And it was like the biggest blow to like Ibadd's ego. He was like, how could someone
do this to me?
You know, like respect, because he thought he was just gonna walk in like a god.
Yeah, like he thought he was a fucking pharaoh.
Dude, this episode might actually go a little longer. I gotta finish these stories, man. They're so good. But so anyway, so you know, fast forward a little bit. So I get changed out at the door or whatever, because they change us out regularly or whatever. And so I'm on the floor and I'm watching this costume contest, right? Mm-hmm. They're calling up people. People got some good contests, good costumes and stuff like that. Crowd's cheering and everything. Of course, anytime a hot girl comes up, everyone loses their shit, right? Like there was one girl that like went up as like an Indian, right? And all she had was like the fucking headset, like with the feathers. That was her tits. Yeah, that was her entire costume, and she was like in a bikini. And then everyone was like, "Jesus Christ, this is the best costume I've ever seen in my life." Yeah. Meanwhile, you got a guy that's got like a fucking $2,000 Predator costume.
Yeah, full on Predator, ain't got shit to some big old titties, like
hasn't broken character all fucking night.
Yeah,
you know, just like at the bar, like trying to order and shit, you know. But anyway, so they call up Ibadd, right? And I'm on the second balcony. I mean, I got bird's eye view, dude. And this motherfucker, they call him up. They're like, all right, our next contestant, you know. And as soon as he goes out there, and folks, you have to go back and listen to the first story of Ibadd, because this gives a lot of reference. But as soon as he goes out there, he just starts flexing like a bodybuilder, right? And he turns it into like a bodybuilding.
So he's just cutting poses.
Yes, completely out of character. No. Yeah. And everyone to this day, it's the most cringe fucking thing. I could feel that fucking the cringe he was feeling. I could feel like that shit
secondhand embarrassment.
I was like, oh my god, I've never felt that bad in my life, dude. Every single person was just like, boo, boo. People were throwing shit and stuff, and he wouldn't get off the stage. Like, he just kept, dude, like, he was like, maybe if I stay out here long.
He was like, fuck it, they're gonna drag my ass off of this thing.
Like, maybe they didn't see from this angle.
Like, you know, did they not see my abs?
So eventually the manager had to come up and be like, hey, dude, like, get off the fucking stage,
like,
dude.
They hate you, get out of here.
And then the hot chick dressed like an Indian came up behind him, and everybody was like, yeah, like, going on, you know?
He was like, quick, we need a distraction. Yeah, with the titties, get up there.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. A lot of those, like, those bigger clubs, like, it's a lot more orchestrated than what people realize. Yeah. Like,
I mean, they got to keep the people happy.
Yeah.
Could easily turn into a goddamn riot or disaster in there.
Yeah. Like, they would literally pick people out of line and be like, you go after him, you go after her. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because they could, because these guys
wanted that ratio to be good.
Yeah, and these guys have been in the industry for a decade, you know, so they understand, like, the arc of, like, you know, human interaction and, like, entertainment, right? But yeah, man, Ibadd, like, he had crazy finance problems, man. Like, and skipping around, like, I'm not going to go through all the rest of the stories, obviously, because, I mean, we covered it for like 30 minutes on a previous episode. But fast forward, I never actually told you when we were processing him to get out of the military, like when he was getting kicked out. I told you like when he got kicked out, like, hey, like we took him around and out process and did all sort of shit. You know, I had to like just dump him off base basically, right? But the last appointment you have, like when you're getting out of the military, whether you're getting kicked out or you're just finishing your time, your enlistment or whatever, is it's always an appointment with the finance office, right?
Yep.
You remember that?
Yep.
And this is the final appointment where they kind of tally like, hey, you know, base, because you don't get out like right on like a perfect like pay cut. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, because you get paid on the 1st and the 15th. No one ever gets out on the 1st or the 15th. So they got to adjust your pay. Sometimes you owe the government like a little bit of money. Sometimes they owe you a little bit of money. It just kind of depends on how it falls, right? And then any like vacation time you still have, you know, they calculate that. They see how much, you know, they owe you. They had to, because they had to buy the time back from you. And then they also see, you know, if you owe the government any money, like if you have any debts or anything like that, because it is possible to literally owe the government money being in the military. I've seen that quite a bit, dude.
If you're a moron.
Yes. So Ibadd is getting you kicked out, right? And he's got this finance appointment.
Last day, last hour.
Yeah. And we sit down and so Ibadd basically just becomes this huge scam artist pretty much, right? Like he's lying, he's scamming everyone, right? And we sit down and, you know, I'm talking to this finance guy and it's just a regular guy, you know, regular enlisted guy, like nice guy. You know, I'm in there with like some of our higher up, like administrative guys or whatever. And like Ibadd's sitting there and it's just Ibadd and like this finance guy at the table. And then we're all sitting against the wall because this meeting ain't about us. You know? And so they start going through it or whatever. And they go and they get into, you know, okay, like here's, you know, what your pay is going to be or whatever, like all sort of shit. And they're like, okay, so here's your debt, right? And it reminded me, oh, this guy literally owes the Department of Defense $5,000.
God damn.
Did I ever tell you how he ended up owing the Department of Defense $5,000?
No.
Okay. We'll put a pin in that and we'll come back. So the finance guy is like essentially, okay, well, maybe we can, you know, offset this debt. You know, if you have a lot of leave saved up, we can cash in your leave and it can, you know, bring that down.
Yeah, you can lower your... Yeah.
And so he asked Ibadd straight up. He's like, how much leave do you have? And Ibadd's like, 45 days. Doesn't even skip a beat. I'm like, well, fuck, you know, the guy might have it. I mean, I don't know.
That'll make a good dent in his pay. Or
yeah,
like in his debt.
Might damn near clear it all up. You know what I mean? And so the guy was like, okay. He's like, well, I got to go run some numbers and double check some stuff real fast. He's like, I'll be back in like, you know, 10, 15 minutes or whatever. The guy comes back 5 minutes later. Like he like busts open the door. He's pissed. And he goes, you have 2 fucking days of leave. It's like, so Ibadd thought he was going to lie to the finance office and they were just going to give him money. Right.
Yeah.
And so the guy was like, okay, so he was getting mad. He was like, okay, so this is how much these 2 days is worth, which was dog shit. Man,
yeah.
Like $150, you know, at best. And he was like, we're going to apply it to this debt or whatever. And he was like, so you're still going to owe this money. And then Ibadd got like fucking bitchy. Like he was like, what if I just don't pay it? And the guy was like, he just could not understand what the hell. He was like, what do you mean? What if I just don't pay? What if you don't pay? It's the federal government. He was like, I'll tell you what's going to happen. He was like, if you do not pay this debt, he was like, you'll get out. He said, within like 4 months, you'll get a letter from the government that says, hey, you owe us this money. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, get on a payment plan or pay us all in full, whatever it may be. Like, do your due diligence, right?
Yeah.
And, but he was like, if you don't do that, he said, then they will kick it to the IRS and they will literally take all of your tax returns. And he was like, and if you don't make enough money on your tax returns or whatever for that, they will literally garnish your fucking wages.
Yeah.
They will get their money back.
It's like fucking child support.
And he was like, so, yeah, he was like, so there's no way I just can't not pay it or whatever. Like he could not understand.
No, motherfucker.
Like I was like, what are you fucking,
for someone who is in the military, you do not understand how the fucking government
How
works.
did you make it this far? So, but that $5,000 debt is actually pretty funny story, man. So he got wrapped up in a bank fraud scheme. Yeah, dude. This was the most interesting guy that ever worked for me in my life. Like, really was, man. Not like
that's the nicest way to put it.
Yeah, in all the wrong ways.
Yeah,
like, he was the most interesting guy that ever worked for me. But he got solicited by somebody on Instagram. Mm-hmm. This account. And it was a guy who was like in shape, always lifting and stuff like that, right? Took a bunch of pictures of him in like an army uniform, claiming to be a soldier, right? And so he had reached out to Ibadd, and apparently this was a scam account.
Mm-hmm.
And this person or this entity, group of people, whatever, this account was targeting service members who were like gym rats.
Yeah.
And they would kind of use that as like a shoe in the door. Like, oh, we have,
like, oh, hey, we do this.
we have common interests.
Yeah.
Maybe we can work out together, like all this other stuff, right? So then enters the pyramid scheme, like Ponzi scheme, essentially, right? So he butters up Ibadd, starts like stroking his ego. I read all these transcripts. I read it 100%. I read all the screenshots, everything. Like, because I read like printouts from like literally like federal investigation.
Messages. Yeah.
Like, and so the guy is just like, dude, like you got such an amazing physique. Like you're so fucking cool. Like you can do anything in this world. Like just like stroking his ego hardcore. Because Ibadd like was just convinced that he was going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like he was like, I'm going to be the best bodybuilder, and then I'm going to be like an actor. And I'm like, you're not going to be any of those. You're going to be fucking dead in 5 years if you don't change your fucking ways, kid. You know? So anyway, he gets anyway, sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But he gets solicited by this guy, essentially like to be in a Ponzi scheme where like, hey, like if you give me access to your banking information, like I'll transfer $5,000 into your account. We'll use it for like, it was like some convoluted thing, but it was like essentially like, I need access. I need your username and password to your bank. It was for USAA. Because remember how USAA, if you transferred money into it, they would credit immediately.
Yeah. It was like instant.
So he did that and then essentially pulled it out immediately. So, and the way it worked out is essentially Ibadd had a negative $5,000 balance, right? And so they did their investigation and stuff, and the bank went through all that stuff and everything. But then essentially like the bank was like, hey, we're not going to cover this under fraud.
Because this was your own stupidity.
Yes.
Yeah.
They literally, what it came down to, like for what the federal investigators said and the bank said, was literally no one could be this stupid.
Yeah, like if you're dumb enough to give your account information to a random fucking person or anyone in general, like that shit's on you.
And I was reading the text messages and he was just like, I don't know, like Bob was like, I don't know if I can trust you. He's like, no, bro, you can trust me. And he's like, okay. And then like he was
enough
like,
for me.
Yeah, he was like, what's your username to like your USAA bank account? And he gave it to him or whatever, which is like some normal shit or whatever. Yeah. And he was like, all right, what's your password? His password was I love cheese 69. So like somewhere some federal investigator had to like
say that with a straight face.
Yeah, man.